Hello everyone, it's Monday, Yom Tov, and I am really happy to see you all again after the weekend. That was a weekend and a half, wasn't it? I am sorry for being so soft. You know, I've only been online for about 20 years. I still don't think I've got a thick enough skin for things that happen on social media. I think someone as old as me would be used to it by now, but you know what? In about 20 years' time, I reckon I'll be just about ready. So, there you go. So anyway, how's everybody been? How has your weekend been? I hope it's sort of been calmer than mine. I was reported. Got 2 emails from YouTube. One to say that, they more or less said it was a bot that sort of, I can't remember the exact words it was, but something like detected a word that could be construed as breaking terms and conditions that they are trying to uphold during the COVID-19 crisis. So, unless teddy bears can say pandemic, it wasn't a word that was used on the live stream. So I don't know what that was about. I've got a fair idea probably why I was reported, because I said bear and then a word that starts with P, ends in N and has an O and an R in the middle. It was a joke. That was it. It was a joke. And the sad thing is about it all is that I can't get to go back and look at the live stream to read the chat, because while I was doing the things with the teddy bears and the doll, with our, Goldilocks and the 3 bears sort of thing, well, it ended up being called Gingerlocks or something like that, and the 3 strange looking bears. I never got to read any of the chat. I've been told everybody was laughing. But I wanted to read all that for myself, and, they took the video away from me. So, I mean, it's great knowing that everybody laughed. It just would have been good for me if I could have seen everybody laughing. I mean, all the stuff in the comments and everything. So, that was a bit of a bugger, wasn't it? But it doesn't matter. I won't be doing YouTube live streams until all this situation is sorted out. Probably be doing something through Facebook. Steph, one of our lovely Haveners, she helps run the Facebook group alongside Daphne and Candice and Angie and some of the other regular girls that go in there. They've all got a little bit between them, Jenna and, lovely girls like that. She's going to find out a way about doing live streams through Facebook. So it just means that the only way you'll be able to join in is if you join the Facebook group. So I'm going to put, yet again, the link to our Facebook group in the description box for you. So if you do want to join in the lives, you don't even have to say anything, even if you just want to watch. Nobody's going to force you to do anything you don't want to do. Lots of people want to watch. But it's just, I've been very lucky this time. I haven't had a strike. But I can't risk a strike, guys. Because if I get a strike and then it leads up to 2 and then 3 strikes, the haven's gone. Poof, gone. That's it. And I don't know whether I'll be allowed to start up a channel again. So I don't know whether it's just because of this particular crisis that we're going through at the moment or what. YouTube have said that they've got a lot of their, when you're looking at something, monitoring, that's the word I'm looking for. A lot of their monitoring's done automation, or automated, that sort of thing. bots. And the bots could pick up things in error, but you've still got to appeal. So anyway, I thought, well, considering that they're not striking me, I did think about appealing, but then I thought I could wisp up a hornet's nest where I end up getting a channel strike. So I've left it. I'm letting sleeping bots lie. I think that's the best thing to do in the long run. I took all day Sunday off the computer. Didn't go near the computer at all. I just thought, I've still got some wonderfully loving comments left for me under Saturday's live. No, the stupid baby crying video that I put up, where everybody was being incredibly kind. I've still got some comments to answer there, and I'm very, very humbled by what was said to me. You know, I am so incredibly lucky to have you. I don't know of any other family community like us on YouTube. I just don't. I do go looking for them, and there are none. You know, I go through some of the family ones, and I look through some of the comments, and some of the comments can be quite nasty, and they allow them, and I think, well, we're blessed, we've never had anything like that, and touch this flipping table, you know, we never have any, because I think we're all too nice to do anything like that. We're too kind to each other, and this is a safe place. And none of us want any disruption when we've got a calm, safe place like the Haven, you know. So anyway, I wasn't quite sure what it was I wanted to talk to you about today. I've been thinking about the social distancing log, and I was wondering, do you reckon the best place to go for social distancing would be a graveyard? Because I was thinking about that, you know, and I was thinking, well, the 6 feet apart, the 2 meters that you've got to have between you and whatever person that you're near to, well, you've definitely got that in a graveyard, haven't you? Because you've got 2 meters down for a start, and then you've got the length of about 2 meters between the foot and the headstone. So, and there's no chance of them giving you anything, and there's zero chance of you giving them anything. So I reckon the safest place to go for social distancing is your local cemetery. Now, for those of you who get easily spooked, I would go during the day. You can have a picnic there. I know lots of people who go for picnics in graveyards. Doesn't bother them at all. There's some lovely benches. There's nice areas of grass. You can go and sit beside your loved one and talk to them, have a sandwich, take a flask of tea or coffee. You know, if you've got kids, they can go around looking at all the different gravestones, you know. And although you may not see them or feel them, the spirits there will be having fun watching people having fun, because it's only going to remind them of the lives they've left behind when they were mortal. I mean, all this is just my daft opinion. You know, like everything on here is all my own opinion, all my own stupid thoughts, all the things that pop into my head during the day. But I was just thinking, if you want to get outside, right, and if it's a nice day, like today seems to be like a particularly nice day. It's not that warm, but it's not cold either. You need to wear a cardigan at least when you went out. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with having a walk around a graveyard. If you've got young ones, not too young obviously, but ones who should be at school, you can look at all the different gravestones, look at all the years when they lived and died, and, you know, you could give them a little bit of social history about what might have been happening 100 years ago, 200 years ago. And you can educate your kids while you're there and educate yourself. And if you go to a family grave, and if it's a relative that your children never got to meet, you can sit and tell them all about them. And that's a bit of family history. And I can tell you something, in, like I said, my personal opinion, and one of my beliefs, which doesn't have to be anybody else's belief, it's just mine. But I believe the souls of your loved ones are there and appreciate you talking about them. I do believe that. And you can feel close to them, especially if you knew them. And if you didn't, you always say, well, I wish I'd known them. And if anybody's given you any history about people who have gone before you, and you can pass that on to your own children. So you've got a bit of history, a bit of genealogy, you know. And like I said, you can sit and you can have a picnic while you're there. I mean, it's disrespectful to kick a ball or something around, but there's nothing wrong with going for a nice walk. And, you know, there'll be daisies in the grass. You know, they pick daisies, make daisy chains. You never see kids making daisy chains now, these days, do you? Because they're too busy doing all of this sort of thing. That's why. Oh, anyway, it was just another one of my daft thoughts. I was going to have a rant about Harry and Meghan and whether or not it's really them doing the drop-offs of these food parcels and what have you. And then Harry going on about don't listen to the media, you know, COVID-19's not as bad as you think it is. And I was thinking, what the hell would you know? You're not here. You're irrelevant. You know, just go away and live your life over there. And if you do come back to the UK, don't announce it. Just slip in and slip out quietly. None of us need to know. They've sent out this letter apparently to all the big papers, apart from The Guardian. Apparently The Guardian's the only one that can do no wrong. And said they're not going to work with any of the big papers anymore. But the thing is, I saw a photograph which was a paparazzi shot, believe you me, of Harry and Meghan delivering food. It was definitely a paparazzi shot. Most definitely. So I thought, right, if that's what you're going to do, use paparazzi. Funny that, how you always go on and on about every click of a camera, send your mind scuttling back to when your mother died, but you're prepared to work with paparazzi. Yeah. So do you know what? I'm not going to bother having a rant about them. I'm really not. I mean, if you do want to know some royal history, some of you have said that they did want to know about, you know, our royal history and who's who and what's what. I do know a fair bit about from sort of the time of Queen Victoria. I mean, I can tell you bits and pieces about the kings and queens who came before that. But I mean, I've got a big history. What am I talking about? I've got a big interest in the Tudors. I've read all about Henry VII and how he got to the throne, because he was the one who did away with Richard III. So he took the crown. And then after him, of course, came Henry, I've got 6 wives, the 8th. And then after him came Edward, I've got a really bad cough. brought on by whatever it was that his father passed on to him, because his father was riddled with syphilis. He was Edward VI. And then, I mean, you do realise now you're getting a very, very potted history of the royal stuff. And if you want anything in more depth, just let me know. And then after Edward VI came Mary I, who was Henry VIII's eldest living daughter. She was called Bloody Mary because she promoted Catholics, and she either burnt or three-quartered, hung, drawn and quartered, or beheaded Protestants, because she was determined to sort of revitalise Catholicism into England, you see. And then when she died, came Elizabeth, and she was the Virgin Queen, and she reigned for 45 years, and she never married, and she passed the crown on to her cousin's son. Our cousin was Mary Queen of Scots, who, as you know, lost her head because she was plotting against Elizabeth, so her head came off. Her son was James VI of Scotland and the first of England, so he came down to England and he ruled both countries from there. And then his eldest son was Charles I, and he was the one most famous for getting his head chopped off because he thought he ruled by divine right, and he believed that God told him exactly what he should be doing. Plus, he did have a Catholic wife called Henrietta Maria. Anyway, Oliver Cromwell and the likes of them got sick of Charles I throwing his weight around, and we had civil war in England between 1642, I believe, and 1649, which is when Charles I had his head chopped off, and then Oliver Cromwell took over the country, and it was when the Puritans came on, where it was almost a bit like YouTube. You couldn't swear, and you couldn't say stuff to do with a sexual nature, and he closed all the pubs, and he closed all the theatres, and everybody had to have names like John, I hate idolaters with all my might, saith the Lord Smith. And then people start to get a bit edgy and they're getting a bit sick. So when Oliver Cromwell died, he passed the, it wasn't a crown, it was like the protectorate, over to his son Richard, who was a bit of a wet willy in the wind. He was like, oh, I don't know what to do here, I don't know what to do there. So it was easily enough to just get rid of him, just off you go. They didn't do anything to him, just like, off you go. And they said to Charles II, who was Charles I's eldest son, would you like to come back over and take the crown, please? But obviously, with caveats, you can't do this, and you can't do that, you can't do the next thing, but, you can be king. And he said, oh, well, all right, then I'll do that. So he came over, they opened all the pubs, and they opened all the theatres, everybody had a great time. Charles I had loads of lovers. He had about half a dozen women going on at the same time. And when he went to the theatre or he went to watch the plays, when he went to his royal box, it used to be called the King's Loose Box, because he would have, and they weren't known as his loose women, they called them his whores and things like that, because he would take the ladies that he was busy sleeping with at the time, he'd take them into the royal box with him, and they'd all sit and watch the plays with him. And then when Charles II died, James II, his brother, took over. And that's when we had the bedchamber crisis, because he married a woman called Mary of Modena, and there was some kerfuffle about when she had a baby, and a bedpan was smuggled in while she was busy having this baby, and people were saying, was it her baby? Was it not her baby? Was it really the next king or what have you? And James II was wanting to bring Catholicism back into England. And of course, the Brits weren't having any of that. So he had to go. Off he went. And his son was called The Pretender. And he was called James Stuart. And he ended up going up between living in France and Scotland. And then the next king after him, they called in, I think it was George I from Hanover. And they brought him over because he was the son of one of Charles I's daughters, I think. I'm quite muddy on that area. So they brought George I over. And he apparently never spoke a word of English. He was totally German. He spent half his time in Germany and half his time in England. And then he passed the throne on to his son, George II. And then he sort of did what he had to do. Oh, I've missed a whole one out. Right. Go back. Well, James II, right? I thought, who were going to get after him? Oh, he's got 2 daughters. So his daughter Mary married a guy called William. So he became William III, and she was Mary II, and they ruled jointly over England and Scotland. And then when they went, Mary's sister Anne took over, and she had 17 or 19 children, and only one of them lived, and that was to the age of 11. And if you've seen a film called The Favourite, that apparently was sort of her life. It wasn't quite as graphic as that. But anyway, she reigned. Then it was after her that they got in George I, and then they had George II. Then we had George III. Now, George III is the one that our American cousins know all about, because George III is the one where they had the Boston Tea Party, and he was the one who farted on about so much that Britain ended up losing the American colonies. So you've got George Washington, who became the first president of the United States. What some of you may not know is that George Washington was born about 12 miles away from where I live now. And his family home was called Washington Hall. So he hailed from my neck of the woods. And he went over to America and he helped them fight and, and write out your constitution and all that sort of stuff. And he became American first president. And they all said George III was mad, but he wasn't mad. He had a condition called porphyria, which caused him, it gave him hallucinations, and he was in dreadful pain the whole time. And the way he was treated was awful. If you ever watch a movie called The Madness of King George III, that's about as real as you're going to get. It was quite truthful to the way they kept that story, how he was treated. And it was awful, because they didn't know it was porphyria, which is inherited. In fact, Queen Victoria had a mild dose of it as well. So anyway, you've got George III, and he had 15 kids. And he was in happily married bliss with his wife, who was called Queen Charlotte, and she was pretty okay. So they lived in domestic bliss until he went off and had this porphyria or what have you. Their eldest son should have been Prince of Wales, but he ended up dying. So the next son became, when George III died, he became George IV. And George IV married a woman from Germany called Caroline. And by all accounts, she wasn't the best looking woman in the world. And she didn't believe in personal hygiene. So he had to get drunk to get over the wedding night. Apparently only ever did the deed the once. She got pregnant with a little girl who they called Charlotte. But unfortunately, she died after she'd married this guy called Leopold, and she died in childbirth. So if she'd lived, she would have been Queen Charlotte, but as it was, she died. So there was a race on between the rest of the brothers as who was going to get pregnant and produce an heir. And the next king after George IV was William IV. He used to be in the Navy, and he was called Billy or Old Sailor Bill. And apparently he ran the king's household like he would a ship. And he married a lady called Adelaide. Apparently was a very nice lady, but they couldn't have any children. They had a little girl and they called her Elizabeth, but unfortunately she died. And then the next one to get married was George, Duke of Kent, who married a lady called Victoria, who'd been married before, but she was widowed. And she was the sister of the Leopold I told you about, who'd married Princess Charlotte. Well, she ended up having Victoria. Her husband, Edward, Duke of Kent, Edward, Duke of Kent, he died when Victoria was 9 months old. He had pneumonia. Well, he died, so she never really knew her father. Leopold, I think they had a sister called Louise, who married this guy called Ernest of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. They ended up having 2 sons called Ernst and Albert. And Victoria met them, I think, when she was a teenager. And then when she was 18 and became queen, Ernst and Albert came over for another visit to see her, and she clapped eyes on Albert, and that was it. She was smitten, and she wouldn't let him leave until she proposed marriage to him, and he agreed. Anyway, long story short, they were obviously had a lot of fun together because they had 9 children, and she became known as the grandmother of Europe. And she was the grandmother of the Kaiser, who ended up starting World War I. And like I said, all her children intermarried with all crowned heads of Europe and what have you, which is why our present queen is related to Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Spain, Portugal. I mean, just all, up at East Grinstead, place, daft things like that. But anyway, that's why she's related all over the place. So, Victoria's son, Bertie, he became Edward VII when she died, and our present queen has reigned longer than Victoria, because Victoria reigned for, I think it was 64 years. Our present queen has reigned something like 67 years or something like that now. And our Prince Charles, I mean, it's just a case of every day he wakes up and thinks, is my mother not dead yet? So, but in between that, Queen Victoria had Edward VII. He went on to have two sons called Eddie and George. Eddie died when he was 28, and he had a fiancée called May. George, as the younger brother, had to stand up, and then he ended up becoming George V. He married the girl that was supposed to marry his brother. They went on to have 6 children. Their eldest child ended up becoming Edward VIII. He was the one who skedaddled off with Wallace Simpson. His next in line was, his brother was called Albert, but he took the name of George VI. And him and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, they were the ones who got us through the war with Winston Churchill. They had 2 daughters, as you know, our present Queen Elizabeth, our sister, Princess Margaret. And there we are. The Queen's had 4 kids, Charles, Anne, Andrew and Edward. You know all about Charles and Diana. You know all about Anne. She's had 2 husbands. She had, the first one was called Mark Phillips. The one she's got now is called Tim Lawrence. And she seems very, very happy. And she's 70 this year. And she does more work, I think, than all the royals put together. Charles remarried Horseface, Camilla, who he'd been having an affair with before the wedding and after the wedding to Diana. So, as you can imagine, I don't think very highly of him. Andrew, of course, has been forcibly retired because he's been skedaddling around with that paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, and he refuses to cooperate with the FBI, which is a damn disgrace because he should do. And I think there should be more pressure put on him to answer the questions that the FBI want answering. And I think for once in his bloody life, he should tell the truth and not tell lies. But he's too much of a coward to do it, and I think it's a damn disgrace. And I don't see why the Queen at nearly 94, I mean, she's 94 tomorrow. Is it the 21st of April? Yeah, I'm sure it's the 21st of April. Or is it the 26th of April? No, it's the 21st of April, I'm sure. Well, I think she's 94 tomorrow, God love her. And why should a 94-year-old have to force a 60-year-old to go and tell the truth? Absolutely ridiculous. And then you've got Edward, who looks a bit like a boiled egg, and Sophie, who's really pretty, and they've got 2 kids. And then the next in line, as you know, is William. And of course we know who Harry is. And William's got Catherine, and they've got 3 lovely kids. So, and of course Harry's got Megan, along with the invisible Archie. I'm beginning to wonder, does he really exist? So that's basically Royalty 101. But if you want any bits filled in, please let me know. Now, I don't know exactly how long I've been yakking. Might be half an hour. But you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to give you something maybe that might make you smile a bit. And I wanted to share with you some of my favourite rings. Now, I do collect gold jewellery. I've been doing it for years. Instead of saving money in the bank, I invest in jewellery. And I've got a lot of nice pieces, which, I mean, I must admit, I wear permanently. I mean, my wedding ring is diamonds and sapphires. My engagement ring is grey diamonds. I've got rings from my children when I was 50 on this finger here. And of course, these 3, I've just got them on all the time. But this is the hand where I interchange my rings, you see. So I just wanted to see if you could see some of these. Just wanted to share some of my favourites. Just hopefully you can see them. And, oh, honestly, some of them are caught up with others. This is an amethyst. You can see that one. I think you can. It's quite big. Just pop it on that finger there so you get an idea of how big it is. So that's one. This one is Chinese jade, shaped like a heart. I do love that one. Let me think. This one is a ruby. I do like that one. I think that one's incredibly pretty. This one is very, very precious to me. This one was the one that Suze gave me. She wore it and then she gave it to me. And it's gold jade with the moon and 2 stars. And she said that was our ring. So I wear that every now and then. Oh, because some of them you've seen already. I don't want to bore you with showing you them again. This is pretty. I like this one. This one's chrome dioxide from Russia. I do like that one. Catches on fluffy jumpers though, so you've got to be careful because it's got sharp edges. So I do like that one. What else have I got? Oh, here's another one. This one's blue topaz. I think that one's incredibly pretty as well. I hope you can see all of these. All the settings are in 9 karat gold. Oh, these are emeralds. Okay, just trying to make sure that you can see them. So that's quite nice. This is a ring that my children got me for my birthday a few years ago, so every birthday I wear this one. It's pink sapphires and an opal, because I do love opals. See, I've got about 70 or 80 rings, you know. But it's just, I love rings. Absolutely adore rings, you know. So I'm just going to quickly find you another one that I really, really like. This is a rose gold one, because I love rose gold. And this one's got 2 hearts intertwined. I don't know if you can see that. It's got 2 hearts intertwined. So I'm fond of that one. Just think. This one is a double dark opal that you can probably see some of the colours in there. Isn't that pretty? Quite fond of that one. This one's smoky quartz. I quite like wearing that one. And I think for just now, last but not least, oh, come on, Feel inspired. Feel inspired. What are you going to show them? Come on, come on, come on. What are you going to find? Oh, yes. I like this one. I've just dropped it. Where's it gone? I'm just going to show you one that's dropped and I can't find it now. Oh, honestly, I am a twit. Keep picking things up and losing them. Oh, yes. This one is a mourning ring. And it's when you wear that if you've lost a loved one. So it's jet in gold. So that's a mourning ring. So I've got that one, which I really like. And this one's moonstone. I don't know whether you've seen that one before, actually. That one's moonstone. And oh yes, there's my cameo. What do you think of that one? I think I've got it in. I hope I've got it in shot. I think I do. I think that's it for the moment, actually. I remember this one. I've got to show you this one. It's funny. This one. It's one of those cubic zirconias, but it's gold. But it's the setting is like yay high on the finger. I mean, it's quite high. And Sue sent me that one, and she said, "Will you marry me?" It was funny. So it was just one that she'd been wearing for a while, and she said, "Oh, will you take this from me? It's irritating me." So I said, "That looks like an engagement ring," and she said, "Well, will you marry me?" So that was that. Anyway, guys, I'll find some more that I can show to you. Some of them aren't quite as ostentatious as others, but you know, some of them have got a lot of sentimental value. A lot of them I got from Sue's. So, but I will share them with you another time. Anyway, I think I've kept you long enough now. So, I hope I've managed to give you something else to think about today and something that's might have cheered you up. And, you know, if there's anything I said that you like, let me know. If there's anything you want me to expand on from what I've talked about, let me know. If you want to see more rings, let me know. Or if there's anything else you want me to talk about or do for you, let me know. Now, this week you've got your folk tales and fables. If you want me just to go ahead and pick one for you, I will. If you've got any suggestions for it, would you please leave them in the comments below, and then I'll do what I can. Okay, guys? So I'm going to love you and leave you and say, take care. Enjoy your day wherever in the world you happen to be. Please stay safe. You know the drill by now. And the days are just ticking down now to when these restrictions are going to be lifted. Because I'm telling you, I can feel it. Other countries in Europe are starting to ease up on the restrictions. We won't be far behind them. And then we'll be able to start breathing again. So, until then, I shall see you again very soon. Yes, I will. Sorry, I've got a brain. You know, it was replaced by a cauliflower at some point this morning. I'm sure that's what's driving me right now. I'm going to love you and leave you. So I do love you. I will see you for your folk tales and fables on Wednesday. And just take care. Stay safe. You know. you know, just, I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I think this lockdown's starting to get to me as well. I'm really, really winding down. I'm trying hard to stay as cheerful as I possibly can. It's all right. I'm not going to burst into tears. Thank God. I'm just, you know, I save up all my energy and give it to you. And I just hope that what I've done for you today has been good enough. So, anyway, bye for now. Love you. Bye.